What's going on, everyone? My name is Liam DeBoer. I'm here with ET Transport, and according to the Bank of America, trucking demand is, quote, near freight recession levels, meaning a period of declining freight volume and declining contract rates. However, this sentiment isn't shared by all, so over the course of this video, we'll go over both sides of the story. Also, if you want to keep up to date with the world of trucking, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into it.
Hey guys, look what I built. I've been working in this industry for about 16 years now. I chose to devote some time to helping others through this channel since I've seen truckers being exploited by our own industry providers for far too long. Company drivers, owner-operators, lease operators, small fleet owners, or anybody thinking of coming into our industry, this channel is for you. Make sure you're a subscriber to this channel and hit that bell notification so you can keep up to date on the latest information on North American trucking.
There's currently no shortage of fear-inducing headlines like Bank of America sounding the alarm on collapsing freight demand, and just 3 years after 2019's trucking bloodbath, another is on the way. So what's the deal? Ken Hoxter, the managing director of Bank of America's trucking research, said in a note to investors that shippers are reporting a drop-off in demand at a year-over-year rate of roughly 23%. The proprietary truckload demand index, an analysis that is done by Morgan Stanley, also showed that the industry is seeing the lowest demand since June of 2020. Hoxter said that the shippers' view of rates has, quote, melted down. The past 2 years have been full of havoc induced by COVID-19, and FreightWaves thinks their view of the market has become clearer, but states the picture isn't a pretty one. A recent article from them builds on the idea that, quote, a sharp, painful downturn in the US truckload market is imminent and it could be as bad as 2019. Well, what happened in 2019? Trucking capacity was oversupplied after strong growth in 2017 and 2018, which resulted in the price of trucking declining rapidly. Due to this quick market shift, nearly 800 trucking companies went out of business in the first 3 quarters of 2019, including Celadon, one of the biggest firms in the industry at the time. A big reason for the present-day panic is that March is typically strong for trucking, seeing as at the start of the month, shippers start to stock their shelves in order to get ready for summer, and at the end of the month, there is usually a reliable end-of-quarter boost in volumes as shippers bump up sales and reduce their prior inventories. However, this year, that surge was not seen. In fact, March volumes, with the exception of holidays, have been softer than any point in 2021. The proposed reasoning for the lower volumes is due to the consumer slowdown. While inflation has been rising since 2020, the recent blast-off into sky-high energy and grocery prices, and well, just about every general necessity for that matter, have caused a major slowdown in consumer spending. Something to keep in mind as well is as restrictions and mandates ease in the Western world, the consumers who are willing to spend their money a little bit more frivolously in times like these now have the choice to spend their money not just on products, but also experiences. Experiences that they've been craving for the last 2 years, and seeing as freight is all about the movement of physical goods, things like travel, movies, concerts, etc. do not drive all that much freight. Taking all of this into consideration, it can explain how the trucking spot rates are coming under pressure, caused by an oversupply of trucks and not enough demand for freight. With trucking having the largest number of new entrants in history over the last 2 years, this could only exacerbate the problem. New fleet registrations were up 20,166 last month alone, which is unprecedented. The last peak of registrations was in August of 2019, which was less than half of that, with 9,511 fleets. FreightWaves also pointed out that new trucking registrations tend to lag behind market conditions, so even as the market continues to soften, we can still expect to see new fleets enter the market, which would only add more supply to already weakening demand. With falling spot rates, declining volumes, surging fuel prices, and inflation across the board, things could get ugly for many of these operators. Now, some of these alarmist reports are getting pushback. For instance, Jason Miller, an associate professor at Michigan State, said in regards to the Bank of America sounding the alarm, quote, I'm becoming increasingly frustrated by industry reporting talking about things like demand for truckers is at a 22-month low, where the only data point is a survey by Bank of America of 44, yes, you heard that right, just 44 shippers. He then went on to share some data from the Consensus Bureau and Federal Reserve Board that led him to the conclusion that, quote, the preponderance of evidence points against there being a severe downturn in the demand for truck transportation. Seeing as our viewership is a majority of drivers, we'd love to hear what you think. How would you characterize the current truck transportation market? Let us know in the comments below. Indago, a supply chain research community, asked its members to share their perspectives last week, and 14% of respondents said that they are currently finding the trucking market extremely challenging, which is down 6% from last year. 38% say they find it very challenging compared to last year's 45%. And judging by the increase of people who are finding the industry moderately challenging, those who were finding the industry either very or extremely difficult to navigate have now settled in the moderate area, as there was no change in the people finding it slightly challenging. One of the Indago supply chain executives recently said, quote, "Recent changes have represented an about face in terms of spot rates and availability capacity. I expect continued favorable progress of shippers, but do not think a freight Armageddon is coming." There were also many comments by Indago members, who are all supply chain and logistics professionals from manufacturing, retail, and distribution companies. One member said, "It takes time for everything to work through the system. In our sector, CPG, with shortages, the consumer is buying when it is available and pantry loading. We are still seeing very strong demand for our products requiring more capacity. If another sector is slowing down, that would free up capacity for us, but it isn't instant. Pricing has stabilized and capacity seems to have stabilized for the short term." Another mentioned, "I believe the freight market is not quite heading toward a recession as volume continues to be elevated thanks to continued e-commerce demand and lack of capacity. I only see current rates declining as a slight reset to market rate highs, and unless the broader economy experiences a recession, I don't see freight markets seeing a meaningful recession." The last Indago member I'll highlight said, "Looks like the peak season is over and capacity is starting to loosen up. I doubt there will be a recession as the rates are still historically high." Overall, the general consensus from the Indago respondents is that yes, the freight market is softening a bit, especially compared to this time last year, but the doom and gloom of bloodbath and sound the alarm tactics seem to be an exaggeration. Further data about the state of the industry recently came out of the CAS Information Systems, whose March monthly report, based on data from the billions of dollars of freight bills that CAS pays for its shipper clients, found that while yes, freight volumes slowed, the data has not shown a contraction in the market. Inside of this report, there's even a segment that says, "We're certainly seeing a freight slowdown and spot market correction, but in our view, it is too early to call it a freight recession." Now, there is one curveball that is being thrown at global supply chains. With China's COVID-0 policy, which is enforcing such strict lockdowns that they are shutting down countless factories, stranding workers, and clogging up highways and ports. So in other words, more sand is being tossed into the gears of global supply chains, which will undoubtedly cause more headaches for shippers and drivers alike. Well, that's all for me, folks. We'd love to hear what you think.